Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto was trained by Anko, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The next morning Naruto woke up feeling better than ever. He felt like he had gotten rid of all those feelings of sadness and loneliness last night. Now that he knew who his parents were and that they loved him above everything else, a huge weight had dropped from his shoulders. For years he had thought that his parents abandoned him and that they didn't love him. Now he knew the truth and he couldn't be more happier. Well, he was still sad that they were gone, but he couldn't change anything about that, so once again he made a promise to make his parents proud and to fulfill the mission they gave him. He had no problem with that mission since it was one of his biggest dreams to have his own family. He would do anything to make sure that that dream came through. He saw Anko still wrapped up in her futon and he remembered how she held him when he cried. He was really grateful for her presence last night. He didn't recall when or how he fell asleep, the only thing he knew was that he had never slept so good before in his entire life. He would have to thank her for her help. She really was a fantastic woman in his eyes, she helped with his training, she was fun to be around and she was there for him when he needed her the most. How he would ever repay her he didn't know, but he would find something. Getting up he started to make the best breakfast ever made to show some of his appreciation. Anko woke up smelling what seemed to be a delicious breakfast. Looking over to Naruto's futon she saw he was already outside. She hoped he was feeling somewhat better. She didn't like seeing Naruto hurt and sad, it made her feel helpless and useless. Getting dressed she decided to let Naruto say the first word, she wouldn't force him to talk about it. When he was ready he would talk to her, she was sure of that. When she came outside the cave she found him waiting for her so they could have breakfast. She nodded a good morning to him and attacked her breakfast. He smiled as he saw just how much she enjoyed the breakfast he had made for them. As she finished breakfast Naruto saw a moment to thank her for last night. Anko-sensei, thank you for last night. Thank you for being there with me. I feel much better now that cried for my parents. I always wondered if they had abandoned me, but now I know the truth. It made me really happy that I could cry on your shoulder. It really means a lot for me. Naruto said softly. Don't worry Naruto, I feel honored that you wanted me there last night. That was a very personal letter after all. It was a very normal reaction to want to cry. You have found something that you wanted all your life as an orphan. I know because just like you I lost my parents when I was really young, so I kind of know what you're going through. Just know that you're not alone anymore. You have Sandaime, Iruka and you have me, we will help you whenever you need us. Anko said. Anko stood up and went over to Naruto and gave him a big hug, and for the first time he hugged her back. It seemed that he decided to take a chance again and let someone into his heart. He felt good when she hugged him, so he wanted to receive more of these hugs. Thank you Anko-chan. He whispered, not intending that she would hear him say those words. You're very welcome Naruto-kun. She said, smiling at the way he addressed her. Naruto broke away from her and tried to apologize for calling her that. Anko smiled and said that she didn't mind one bit and that he could call her that if he wanted, but only after training and when it was just the both of them. He quickly nodded his head and tried to change the subject. He asked her if she would like to look with him at the jutsu his dad had left him. Anko said she would love to, but that he should take a look for himself first. Naruto argued that she was his friend and sensei and that wanted her to see the jutsu because he knew that she could be trusted. Hearting that argument, she couldn't refuse his offer, so they looked through the scroll, finding 2 jutsus that made his dad so famous. They found notes on Rasengan, a wind and chakra-based attack that was highly destructive when mastered. They also found a very detailed description on Hiraishin no Jutsu, which earned his dad the nickname Konoha's Yellow Flash. Naruto was aware that mastering these jutsu would be far from easy. The Rasengan was AA rank jutsu and Hiraishin no Jutsu was AS rank jutsu, but he would master them no matter what. It was his father's legacy and it was his duty as his son to continue where his dad had left off. Anko was shocked beyond words. She was able to see the original notes on two of the most famous jutsus in the whole shinobi world. Seeing them performed in person was a huge honor, but seeing the notes the Yondaime had written, seeing how it was developed and how to learn to perform them was like meeting Kami in person. If Naruto could learn these jutsus by the end of his training, he would be without a doubt one of the strongest genin in history of Konoha. She would have to incorporate these jutsus in her training schedule because there was no way Naruto wouldn't want to learn these jutsus. Naruto, these are amazing. Imagine learning these jutsus before the end of these 6 months. You would shock the Sandaime out of his socks. You would be the strongest genin ever lived. No genin, no scratch, not even the best Junin would be able to beat the Rasengan and the Hiraishin no Jutsu. Anko said, becoming more and more excited by the minute. Naruto would have to agree with her. His Ji-chan would be very surprised to see him perform his father's jutsus. It would be the best present he could give his Ji-chan, showing him that he would be stepping in his father's footsteps. He knew Ji-chan considered his dad as family. He had told him before how much he loved Yondaime and how sad he was when he SD. Anko-sensei, please help me learn these jutsus. I want to make you, my parents and Ji-chan proud. I need to know to do these jutsus. I will do whatever it takes. Naruto said, full of conviction. After that, they started on making a training schedule for the next months. Since the Rasengan was almost pure chakra manipulation, they would practice on that instead of chakra control exercises. Naruto wanted to learn the Rasengan on his own and not by the use of Kagebunshin no Jutsu, which meant that it would take longer, but they had 4 months to practice. But Anko was sure Naruto would learn the Rasengan fairly quick thanks to his good chakra control. The Hiraishin no Jutsu would be learned after the normal training, since he would first have to learn the seals that were necessary for the jutsu. Also, his taijutsu would continue same as speed and strength training. The theoretical lessons Anko would spend on talking and discussing all the different clans that Konoha had. She wanted him to know about the clans and their jutsus so that he would know how to fight them if necessary. Naruto also wanted to practice his weapon forging since he had several ideas that he wanted to try out. So they started the training for the next month. Naruto and Anko spend their time training and enjoying their time together. They had fun together when training was over and they really got to know each other. Naruto had told her about some of his past and the loneliness he had known, and Anko told him why she wasn't well liked in the village and about Orochimaru and the cursed seal she had received from him. Orochimaru promptly went to the #1 spot on Naruto's list, but Anko made him promise to never search out Orochimaru, and if he ever encountered him, he was to take his teammates and run to safety. She told him that no matter how strong he got, he definitely wasn't strong to beat one of the legendary Sannin. Naruto promised that he wouldn't search for Orochimaru, but that if he ever threatened one of his precious people, he would fight him with everything he got. Anko, seeing he wouldn't change his mind on this, accepted and thanked him for seeing her as one of his precious people. Naruto-kun, what are your dreams for the future besides becoming Hokage? Surely you have other dreams? Anko asked her student. She smiled when she saw his face change into a serious thinking kind of face. He seemed to think a lot about how to answer this question, she thought. Well, yeah, of course I have other dreams, but becoming Hokage is not only a dream, it's a goal. A goal that I will achieve no matter what. I guess I have 3 dreams that I would like to see fulfilled. One would be to be accepted by the villagers, Uzumaki Naruto, and not as the Kyuubi child. The second would be to start my own family, wife and children, and third would be to become the world's strongest shinobi. That would be great. Naruto finished. Those are very nice dreams, Naruto-kun, and I'm sure you will succeed in making them come true. Anko said, smiling. What are your dreams for the future, Anko-chan? There must be something you want. Naruto asked in return. Sure, I have several dreams. You let me see. Well, one of them would be to kick Orochimaru's ass, that's for sure. Being acknowledged as me instead of Snake B would be nice too, I guess. But most of all, I want to find the place where I belong alongside with someone who loves me for me. I guess that sounds kind of cliché, but it's true for me. Anko finished. That doesn't sound cliché at all to me. For someone who had a loving family all their life and who had everything they ever wanted, that may sound cliché, but not to those with a past like ours. People like us want security and reassurance in life because we know what it feels like without them. Naruto said, understanding what Anko said. Alright, enough on the depressing topics, let's see what fun things could we talk about. Oh, I know gossip. Always good for a laugh, Anko said with her evil smile. She was a girl after all, and girls love to gossip. Gossip? I don't know. What do I know about gossiping? Naruto said, trying to change the topic. Not because he didn't know any gossip or something like that, but he didn't want to cause trouble for anyone. Yeah, gossip, you know. Like a dirty little secret someone has or your opinion on someone. I'll start, you'll see what I mean. Okay, there's a Junin in the village called Hatake Kakashi. He's very strong and considered a genius, but he's also AL. He's always reading a orange little book called Ika Ika something, and he's always late. He wears a mask and nobody has ever seen him without it. Kurenai and I have tried to take it off, but until now we never succeeded. He's a fine shinobi but a lousy man for anything else. He pisses me off with his little book. You'll meet him later on. He's the Junin sensei of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and one guy, I don't remember his name. Anko said with a gleam in her eye that promised lots of pain for this Kakashi person. She also noticed the look on Naruto's face when she mentioned the name Uchiha Sasuke. She was curious why, so she asked if he had a problem with him. A problem? I guess you could call it that, yeah. You see, Sasuke is the prince of the village, so to speak. Just because of his name he's pampered like nobody else. Everybody adores him and treats him like he's God's gift to mankind. I don't like him because of that. Though I will admit Sasuke is strong, he's also a jerk and an arrogant ass. I'm the first to say Sasuke is talented because he is, there's no question about that, but there are a lot of people out there that are much stronger than he is. I used to try to get along with him seeing as we're both orphans, but every time I tried to talk to him he would insult me or make fun of me for no reason. So in the end I just let him be, but he would always manage to rile me up or work on my nerves. In the academy I considered him my rival since he was always better at everything than I was, but now I don't care about that at all. Naruto admitted to her. Anko laughed and said that every generation had one of those types like Sasuke and told him not to worry about it. After that they talked about things like dango or ramen. They talked way into the night, both enjoying the fact that they got to know the other a little better than before. When they saw the time they quickly went to bed since they had training in the morning. A few days later Naruto had designed a new weapon that he wanted to forge. Thanks to the old weapon maker, Naruto had excellent tools to make this weapon. He wanted to make himself his own sword. The sword that he designed was a Japanese-style katana that when sheathed looked like a slightly curved wooden stick, but he planned it like that. He wanted that when you looked at it you couldn't see where the handle and sheath started or ended. The sword would be about 40-inch long, the blade making up for 27-inch, and the handle would be about 11-inch. He knew that carrying a large sword like that was inconvenient for a shinobi, but he had already a solution in mind for that. He would try to modify the storage seal in a way that when applied to a short sheath of 10-inch he would be able to fit the blade that was 27-inch long inside. That would make his sword, sheath and handle, only about 20-inch long, which would be much easier to carry and conceal. When he asked Anko if she had anything special planned for the evening, she told him that he could do whatever he liked since today had been theoretical lessons. So Naruto set out to start the forging of his new sword. Making several cage buncheons to aid him, he took out his materials and went to work. The first thing he had to do was to forge a rough forged version of his sword, then he would have to forge the metal into the correct size. Third step was covering the blade with clay. Fourth step was to heat up the in clay covered blade and cool it down right afterwards, and the final step would be polishing and sharpening the blade. The process would take weeks to complete, but Naruto didn't care. He liked working on his weapons very much. It would be a process of trial and error, but Naruto was sure that he could do it thanks to the book he received from Hideki-san. While he was working on a rough forging of his sword, he thought back about the past few days. His training in Rasengan had gone better than he could have hoped. Thanks to his continuous training in chakra control, he was pretty good at manipulation chakra necessary for the Rasengan. He had managed to complete the first step of learning the Rasengan. He had to give it to his dad. The man was a genius. Naruto would never been able to come up with such a jutsu, he toughed. Although it took his dad 3 years to master the Rasengan, Naruto was sure he would be able to do it soon. This was of course thanks to his father's notes on how he learned it. And Naruto happily used the notes. The Hiraishin no Jutsu proved to be very difficult. The number of seals he had to learn was simply too much to learn in a few weeks. At the rate it was going now, it would take him several more weeks, even months, to memorize the seals, and then he had to determine in which order he had to put them, since that changed with every person. So it would be a work of trial and error for Naruto. But he didn't give up, not that he wanted to or that Anko would allow him to, and he was sure that one day he would be able to do that amazing jutsu. Anko was thinking about how Naruto seemed much happier than ever before. He smiled and laughed, he made jokes, and he had even tried to prank her. Trying being the key word. She caught him while he was making his preparations, so he knew he was busted. All she said was better luck next time and went on with whatever she was doing at the time. Naruto had completely thrown away the emotional mask that he wore before and began to be a normal teenage boy who would have a temper tantrum once in a while. But since he was still new at not hiding his feelings, Anko had to repeatedly say that it was okay to disagree or being angry as long as he did it in a respectful way without shouting and throwing things. So far it had gone great. When he didn't agree, he told her so and also presented a counter-argument which they would discuss. Though overall they got along great and disagreements were rare happenings. She also noticed that it wasn't only Naruto that had changed, she found that she herself had changed as well. Ever since they had talked about their past, she had been feeling better than ever, her heart felt lighter than ever, and she liked the feeling a lot. She started to consider Naruto not only as her student but also as one of her friends and one of the people she would protect at all costs. She really liked spending time with him and felt at ease in his company. Usually she hated being around men because most of them only saw her as a next conquest, but Naruto was different. 2 days before the end of the month, Naruto finished his sword and the modified seal for the sheath. He found that modifying the seal wasn't that difficult once he thought about it, but he wasn't about to complain. The sword also had the same seal engraved like his throwing knives, and he had even found a chakra signature seal that only allowed him to draw the weapon. He thought it was fantastic. The sword had exceeded his wildest dreams. When he showed it to Anko, she was impressed and told him that he had done an excellent job once again. He asked her if she wanted one, but she politely refused his offer, saying that she was more of a knife person. His Rasengan was going great as well. It was a matter of days before he would be able to do it. After that he would master it using the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu like he did with all his jutsus. Speaking of jutsus, Anko had taught him several Doton jutsu like the Doton Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, the Doton Doryu Heiki no Jutsu. She also taught him a few Suten jutsu as well. Now he had several Kaiten, Doton, Suten and variations of the Kage Bunshin in his arsenal. He hadn't started on making his own jutsu yet because he first wanted to master all these jutsu and the Rasengan. After that maybe he would start on his own jutsus. Naruto, would you like Sandaime to know what was written in the letter? What about the fact that you're learning the Rasengan and Hiraishin no Jutsu? It's up to you to decide what I tell him. Anko said, preparing her report for the next day. You can tell him about the letter, I don't mind, besides I'm sure he's worried about how I took it. So tell him what was in the letter, no problem. But don't tell him about the jutsus and that I'm learning them or anything. I want to surprise him later on. Can you imagine his face when I do the Rasengan before his eyes? He won't know what hit him. Naruto said, already seeing his Ji-chan's face in his mind, making a smile appear on his face. Good thinking, Naruto. Glad to see that you still have that mischievous side intact. I can't wait to see their faces when you show them the Rasengan in the Chunin exam. That will be one event I wouldn't want to miss. Anko said, also with a mischievous smile on her face. She loved this kind of stuff, and Naruto was a lot like her in that department. She would pay big bucks to be in the front seat for that show. Anko looked at her list of things she needed to bring back for Naruto. First there was the normal grocery shopping, then she needed to get a book on Kenjutsu, several new shirts, new gloves and a belt to put his sword on. Hideki would be pleased, she thought. Saying good night to Naruto, she went to bed so she would be well rested for her trip to the village. Next morning Naruto got up early and told himself that today would be the day that he could perform the Rasengan. He needed to get this done so he could move on the new jutsus if he wanted to impress his Ji-chan. So he went outside, made breakfast for both of them and started on his training. When Anko finished her breakfast, she couldn't help but smile at Naruto's face when she saw him concentrating like never before. Her smile changed to shock when a perfect Rasengan appeared in Naruto's palm. Unbelievable, he had learned an A-rank jutsu without any help in just a month. she thought. Once again Naruto proved to her that he was nothing short of a genius when it came to practical learning. Naruto on the other hand was moving towards the tree to see what kind of damage the Rasengan really did, so he slammed it right into the tree. When the dust cleared, Naruto and Anko stared at the large hole the Rasengan made in the tree. Wow, if this is the damage the Rasengan does to a tree, imagine what kind of damage it would do to a human being. Naruto and Anko thought while staring at the tree. They looked at each other and started grinning at the thought of using the Rasengan in front of everybody in Konoha. They would freak out, that's for sure. Now that he had proved he could do it, he would master it by using the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu in no time. Now he could concentrate on something else like his sealing stuff or his jutsu making. Seeing that he was going to try the Rasengan again, she quickly told him that she would see him tonight and left. Naruto nodded and turned his focus back on the task at hand. Now that he had done it once, he should be able to do it again without a problem. Several successful tries later, he deemed it good enough and make a few dozen clones to start mastering it. He wanted to be able to use it without having the need to concentrate for several seconds. In a fight, those seconds could mean life or death. Seeing his clones practicing, he went to the other side of the clearing and started on making some new throwing knives. He still had lots of metal available, but he decided to use scrap metal to make some disposable throwing knives, since you couldn't always collect every weapon you threw in battle. He thought it would be a waste of material if he left his high-quality knives behind on the battlefield, and with the use of the seal, even the knives made from scrap metal would be strong enough. He also had a storage seal he wanted to modify so that he could place it on his holster, and then by channeling a small amount of chakra into the seal, one knife would appear at the time. So that's what he did while Anko was giving her report to Ji-chan. Anko had given her report to a stressed Hokage. He was stressed because he was afraid how Naruto would react when he learned the truth about his heritage. When Anko told him that he had nothing to worry about, he slumped into his chair, releasing a deep breath, immensely happy that Naruto understood his actions. He listened to Anko's report and was very pleased with Naruto's progress. He was looking forward to seeing his adoptive grandson again. He really missed the boy's energetic behavior and the visits Naruto gave him. He also noticed some changes in Anko's behavior and he smiled. Apparently the two had a good influence on each other. After giving her report, she quickly bought the necessary food supplies and went to the library to pick up a book on Kenjutsu, and after that she went to see Hideki and bought Naruto some new shirts, gloves and a belt to put his sword on. When Hideki asked why he needed a belt, Anko quickly explained about the beautiful sword Naruto had forged. Hideki told her that Naruto would have to come and show it to him the first chance he got. Nodding, she left the store trying to find Kurenai, who she found waiting for her at the usual spot. They talked for about an hour. Anko telling about the time Naruto tried to prank her, while Kurenai told her about how she had to punish one of her students for peeking into the women's baths at the hot spring. Anko swore she would remember that and told Kurenai that if she caught him peeping on her, she would be one student short. Kurenai laughed but still made Anko promise not to K her student if possible. Anko, what will you and Naruto do after the 6 months of training? I mean, will you do missions on your own or what? Kurenai asked suddenly. I really don't know yet. I haven't really thought about, but now that you bring this up, maybe I should start planning for things after the training. Anko said, wondering why she hadn't thought of this before. I have an idea that might work. You know that Hinata, Kiba and Shino are all clan heirs, right? Seeing Anko nod, she continued. Being an heir means that every once in a while they have clan obligations like training with clan members or missions with clan members. This leaves my team incomplete, and because of that we can't do any missions during that time. What if we asked Sandaime if you and Naruto could join Team 8? Naruto would be able to fill in for the missing person, and he would also learn how to work in a team. And when there's no mission, you two could join our team training. You could help me train my students on areas I'm not familiar with, like assassination and interrogation. It would benefit all of us. Kurenai finished. You think your students would be okay with that? I mean, they don't know that Naruto graduated, and even though they got along during their time in the academy, they weren't the best of friends. Anko said, thinking about her friend's idea. She had to admit she kind of liked it. Naruto needed some friends of his own age as well, she realized. I'm sure they'll be fine. Besides, like you said, Naruto isn't the same Naruto from the academy anymore. And it will allow them to learn from each other as well. Kurenai said, hoping Anko would agree. She would enjoy having her friend around and Naruto would make a fine addition to the team. Fine, I'll discuss it with the Hokage next month. Until then, don't tell your students about this. I'm pretty sure he will agree, but best be sure before we make any announcements. Anko said to Kurenai. Kurenai nodded, happy that Anko decided to give her idea a chance. She really wanted to have her friend around because she missed the daily talks and fun. It sounded a bit selfish, but she didn't care. They would all benefit from this arrangement, she was sure of that. After that, they talked a little about how things were going in the village. Anko got up and said her goodbye since it was getting late and she was sure that Naruto would be waiting for her to start dinner. She hugged Kurenai and told her that they would meet again next month, same place, same time. Kurenai looked at her friend who was already hopping over the rooftops and couldn't help but think about how much Anko had changed over the past few months. Before, she had been the only true friend Anko had, and it saddened her to see a wonderful person like Anko being so lonely. But now she had really opened up. It seemed Naruto had become a major part in her life, and for that she was very thankful to the young shinobi. The Anko she saw today was a cheerful one like she always was, but now she smiled like never before. It was a smile that seemed to be coming from her heart, and it warmed Kurenai's heart as well. She really hoped they would be able to join Team 8. It would be great, she thought. When Anko arrived back in the clearing, she saw Naruto working on his forging and wondered what he was making now. I'm back, Naruto. Did something happen while I was gone? Anko called out to Naruto. Ah, welcome back. Everything went fine. I started on practicing the Rasengan with the help from some cage bunshin and did the rest of my exercises as well. Naruto replied, happy she was back. That's good. So what are you working on now? A new sword? Anko asked as she came over to him. No, not a new sword. I decided to make some disposable throwing knives from the scrap metal I received from Hideki-san. Naruto said, putting a newly finished one on the side. Disposable? Why? Is the scrap metal strong enough to make real weapons out of? Anko asked curiously. Well, I figured why make throwing knives out of that high-quality metal when I'm pretty sure I will use them in battle and then lose some of them as well. And yes, normally scrap metal wouldn't be good enough to make weapons from, but you're forgetting the seal that allows to put a chakra casing around it. When using that, the weapons will be good enough to use in battle. Naruto explained his reasoning. Good thinking, Gaki. Now let's have dinner because I'm starving, she said, smiling. Naruto happily agreed on having dinner since he was very hungry as well. So they went inside the cave and started making dinner. They spent the rest of the evening inside and relaxed each in his own way. Naruto took out his book on Kenjutsu and started reading it since he wanted to work on creating his own Kenjutsu style. But in order to do that, he would first have to learn the basics, and like everything, this would take some time. The next morning, Naruto woke up thinking about the past 3 months of his life. He thought about the progress he had made thanks to his training with Anko and all the things he had learned from her. She truly was a wonderful teacher, strict and hard but fair and helpful when needed. Today they would go over his training schedule and see if it needed some adjustments in some areas. She had asked him to think about what he thought could use some more training and what he wanted to learn. His chakra control was taken care of thanks to his clones, and he had mastered almost all the katas in both Taekwondo and Aikido, so now he wanted to combine them into his own style. He would take the moves he wanted from both styles and create his own katas, and that would eventually become the Uzumaki Taijutsu style. Until now they sparred using Taekwondo or Aikido, but they had never mixed the two styles before, so he decided to focus on that this month. He realized that it would take a lot of work to create his own style, but he didn't mind that at all. One other thing he wanted to work on was his Kenjutsu. Now that he had his own sword, he would have to learn how to use it efficiently. Just swinging the sword around was not what he wanted to do. Not only would it be an insult to true Kenjutsu masters, but he felt that if he wanted to do something, he should do it correctly. So he wanted to study the basics first, and when he had sufficiently mastered them, then he would make his own style. He realized that he was actually creating a lot of new styles, a new taijutsu style and now a kenjutsu style as well. He wondered if he would be able to succeed in all this. In the end it didn't matter, he would do it anyway. It was not like he was on a time schedule or something. If it took him months to complete something, then he would do so without complaining, knowing that when he did finish it, he would have done it on his own, with help from Anko, of course. He got up out of bed and prepared for the new day, seeing that Anko was already outside waiting for him to start on breakfast. This had been their little morning routine. Even though Anko almost always woke up first, it was Naruto who prepared breakfast, since Anko wasn't much of a morning person to begin with. He wished her a good morning and prepared some coffee for her and started on baking some eggs and bacon for the both of them. Anko happily took the cup of coffee from Naruto and started to wake up. Oh, how she hated getting up in the morning, she thought. She enjoyed lying in a warm bed in the morning, and getting up was the worst part of the day in her opinion. Luckily Naruto was willing to make breakfast for her. She was very grateful for that. Seeing breakfast was ready, she sat next to him and started eating, wondering how she would survive after the mornings after their 6 months training was done. She would miss these delicious breakfasts, she realized. After Naruto told her what he wanted to work on for the next few months, she quickly made a new schedule and got to work. They both realized they had much work to do and little time to do it in. She would help him with his taijutsu, but seeing she knew next to nothing about kenjutsu, he would be on his own for that, she told him. He didn't let that stop him and told her he was very glad she could help him on his taijutsu. Besides the taijutsu and kenjutsu training, Naruto would focus on stamina, speed and strength training as well. She also had a few jutsu in mind that she would teach him later on. The last months of training promised to be exciting, and she could hardly wait for the results. She and Naruto would show Konoha what they could do, and the Chunin exams were just the place to do it, she thought. She would have to get good seats so she could see all the shocked faces on those old farts of the council and the other Chunin senseis. Priceless, she thought. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.